In my experience of losing 160 pounds, I went through many cardio bouts, from doing hours on the stationary bike and being more sedentary than Rosa Parks, from doing HIIT interval training where I was sweatier than Anne Frank opening up a packet of crisps, to now where I found the best form of cardio for losing weight, which is walking. So why is walking so good in the first place? This is because it fits everyone's abilities, unless you don't have legs for some reason, as it doesn't matter if you can only do 10 minutes or 45 minutes. It's still all good, and you don't have to sign up for a gym, and you can do it just about anywhere at any given time. Another reason why walking is such a good tool for losing weight is because it's low impact, meaning you can do more distances for longer. This is better compared to something like running or doing the Stairmaster, for example, where you might not be able to do it for too long before you get too fatigued and want to stop doing it. And in the following days after doing something like running, you can be very sore, meaning you're not going to be going out and burning more calories off, compared to something like walking, where you can do it every day of the week, and meaning you're going to be burning more calories off because you're more physically active. So picking something like walking, which is more low impact, can definitely go a long way compared to something like running or the Stairmaster, which may seem more flashy, but if you can't do it consistently, then what's the point? As with walking, even a little can go a very long way. So let's say, for example, you do a 30-minute walk, which is around about 3,000 steps, and you burn off 200 calories in them 30 minutes. Well, across a week, that'll be 1,400, and across the entire year, that'll be 72,800 calories, which would equal to about 20 pounds of fat loss just from walking alone. No calorie deficit or anything like that, just from purely walking. And the best thing is, you don't have to do all them 30 minutes all in one big chunk. You can do two 15-minute sessions or three 10-minute sessions. It doesn't matter how you get them sets in, as long as you do it, little can definitely go a long way. And with walking, you'll get better at it over time. This is because when you're losing weight, obviously walking, you're going to be putting yourself more into a calorie deficit, meaning you're going to have less weight on you, meaning you can go on for further without being too strenuous. Also with that, your cardiovascular health is going to massively improve, meaning you can burn more calories in the same amount of time. So let's say, for example, you're still doing those 30 minutes, and in those 30 minutes you could burn 200 calories. But if you keep being consistent with your walking, and maybe in a couple of months' time you've lost some weight, your cardiovascular health is now improved, you can now burn 220 calories in the same 30 minutes. So you're getting healthier. Also with that, you can incorporate more steps into just your day-to-day life. So for example, you can walk to the shops rather than taking the bus or driving there. You can take the stairs rather than the elevator. And these little reasons throughout your day-to-day life and getting in a bit more movement will definitely go a long way, and those calories will add up over time, therefore putting you more into a calorie deficit and therefore losing weight. So how many steps do you actually want to hit per day to lose weight? You'll hear a lot of recommendations out there saying you to hit 10,000 steps or even more, which, let's be honest about it, that's probably way too much to start off with. It definitely was for me when I first started losing weight. If I tried doing 10,000 steps, you'd probably feel like my legs have been in the walls of Jericho. So make sure to pace yourself and pick a realistic goal you can stick to on a day-to-day basis, and trying to improve that number over time. Let's say at the moment you can do 3,000 steps, that's perfectly fine. Just aim to improve that as the weeks and months go on. So let's say now you're doing 3,000 steps, but in 3 months time you can do 5,000. That's definitely going to go a long way into helping you lose weight and also improve your general health. So make sure you pick a realistic goal you can stick to that fits your day-to-day needs and your actual abilities. Also, another thing people might not know when they actually are doing more steps, that it helps suppress your appetite. It helps increase that feeling of fullness. And also something very beneficial about doing steps is that you ain't going to be likely to eat those calories back once you've done a walk. Compared to something like running, for example, which takes a lot of amount of energy to doing one big bout, your body might want to replenish its energy stores and eat those calories back. Versus something like walking, that's low impact and no strenuous, you're a lot less likely to actually eat those calories back, meaning you're going to maintain more of a calorie deficit, incorporating more activity into your day-to-day life. So yeah, something people might not know is that it actually helps suppress your appetite. Another thing I want to go over quickly is that you don't have to do fasted cardio when you are walking and stuff. It doesn't burn more fat, it doesn't burn more belly fat or anything like that. I used to believe that sort of stuff when I first started losing weight. It's a load of rubbish. If you do like doing fasted cardio, therefore, keep on doing it, completely ignore me. But in my own experience, I've actually found out that eating before actually doing any sort of cardio, it actually makes me burn off more calories. This is because if you go out fasted, for example, you can be walking on an empty stomach, maybe making you feel more fatigued, and you can't go on for longer because you haven't got any energy to burn off because you haven't eaten anything. Versus actually having a meal before you go out and walk, meaning you have more calories energy to burn off because you've eaten calories. So actually eating before going out for a walk can be a lot more beneficial compared to doing it fasted. You're going to be burning more calories off, therefore putting you more into a calorie deficit. As the main reason for you losing weight will always come down to a calorie deficit, cardio is only a small thing on top of that daily deficit. I did do a video a few weeks ago where I did walk 100,000 steps in a week, but I was actually able to document the impact of losing weight through doing a large amount of steps. So you can watch that if you want. There's some information in there that might be beneficial. But yeah, dieting is the most important thing when it comes to losing weight, and just adding on a little bit of extra cardio onto that is definitely helpful, but it's not the main thing you should be looking for when it comes to losing weight. So make sure you pick a sustainable calorie deficit that you can maintain, because having a big calorie deficit can lead you to feeling more fatigued. If you are losing weight very rapidly, you could also be losing muscle, which will impact your metabolism. So make sure you pick a sustainable calorie deficit to go along with your cardio goal. That's going to give you the best results when it comes to losing weight and sustaining it, and ultimately keeping it off as well. Ways you can actually track how many steps you're doing on a daily basis. You can obviously buy an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or anything like that. I've got my own Apple Watch, but the only downside of those things, despite the fact they are good for like tracking steps and all that, is that the calorie burn on them is very overestimated. So whatever calories you do burn, make sure that you keep them burned and don't go into them, because the calories that says on your Apple Watch, for example, it's very misleading, like a white van parked outside the school that says 3 sweets on it. So whatever calories you do burn from the steps and stuff, whatever physical activity you're doing, just keep them burnt. Don't start eating those calories back, because you just don't know how many you actually are burning off. So why other forms of cardio maybe aren't ideal for you, especially stuff like high impact cardio, like stuff like jumping movements and all that. I mean, I'm sod doing that, mate. Like stuff like burpees, it's just far too much hassle. It could even cause injury, for example, because you're putting so much stress onto your knees. Doing something like low impact is going to be a lot more beneficial, because you're not going to dread doing it. You can incorporate it into your day-to-day life. And doing something high impact, you're going to not want to do it, meaning you're going to probably sack it off in a week of actually trying. So you might as well pick something you can do for the long haul. So in conclusion, for me, walking is the best form of cardio you can do when you are someone that's overweight, or just any weight in general, to be honest. I still do cardio. I still do 8,000 steps per day because I enjoy doing it, and this is something I do in my day-to-day life now. And also remember, dieting is the most important thing when it comes to losing weight. I really can't stress that enough. That taking away a few hundred calories off your maintenance is a lot easier than trying to burn off an extra couple of hundred calories. You can't outwork a bad diet, so you might as well pick a sustainable calorie deficit with an easy cardio goal to go with that. And just remember, with whatever goal you set yourself, consistency is the most important thing when it comes to reaching that goal. As you might have one day where it's not the best day for eating or hitting your step goal, that's completely fine. Then what happened to me numerous amounts of times when losing weight. The most important thing is the amount of consistency you have of the weeks and months of trying to hit that goal, as weight loss or gain will never just come down to one day. So always keep that in mind. So make sure you have a sustainable diet that you enjoy to do. Make sure it's not a crash diet or anything like that. Have a high protein diet that's going to help keep you more full, and also have enough sleep that's going to help with your recovery. And the most important thing is patience. Patience to see this out in the long term, and you'll definitely see the best results possible.